Because, speaking about burnout these days, it's an issue that's at the front of a lot of, media likes to talk about it and doctors experience it, but it's kind of not as bad as it used to be, I would think. Did you have some periods in your career that were like
Well,
you were
yeah,
feeling burnt out, or it was
you
tough
have to,
times?
yeah, it may not have been expressed in that way, but yes, the sense of exhaustion and trying to, never wanting to get to a point of making a mistake, or just trying to hold sleep together, and trying to pace yourself as much as it's possible, and trying to have breaks, but also realizing I absolutely needed to have my mind, in addition to on the medicine, which was terribly engrossing, on other things. So that's where reading and a bit of writing, but in that context, I guess it was because I was in that country, starting to read South African literature, speak. I mean, every conversation was fascinating, really, because I'm dealing with people's lives in a way that's completely different to my own. So all of that was very, very good. And
Did you learn the language, Afrikaans?
yeah, South Africa has multiple different languages, as you know, and so the in addition to English, I was in a city called Port Elizabeth. There was a lot of Afrikaans spoken, but also there was all the African language of that city was Xhosa, a language which clicks. So Xhosa. So Biko was a Xhosa speaker, and Mandela is a Xhosa speaker. So that's one of the many African languages spoken there. So coming to that and realizing I'd never heard anyone speak that way, because there are lots of clicks. I thought, what's going on here? This is something I've never heard a language where there's clicking. And I remember one person saying to me, "Oh, but white people can't click." And I thought, well, this white person might try, because clearly there was very little in the way of people so white South Africans attempting. Though occasionally you come across a striking example, usually someone who'd been raised in the country and they were speaking. So I started to learn that, and was incredibly encouraged by the nursing staff there, and being able to take a basic history and get a sense of things. And it was interesting. It was a good thing.
What was your relationship like with Black South Africans during this time of apartheid?
Yeah. So I suppose
Because you're a doctor, so
I was in a remarkably sort of privileged position, because I'm a doctor who's a foreigner who could step away out of that country compared to someone who is in there. So I was very interested to hear what was going on in people's lives, the incredible strictures that were placed on people for the color, but because of the color of their skin, and the historical injustices there. So that's something that I was very much aware of, but also at a personal level, just being able to get to know people. Like, for instance, one of the few African paediatricians in the country was one of my bosses, so Gordon de Lima, remarkable fellow. How he was able to work his way through high school into medical school, and then to become a paediatrician, and like Rampelle, I mean, he'd actually known Rampelle, so that sort of sense of that was fascinating. And then, because you didn't need to scratch below the surface, say with pediatrics, that you're immediately into the deprivation, poverty, injustice. It sort of sits there, because for instance, malnutrition. Why is that happening? And also, within a fairly short space of time, there was a lot of police activity, army activity in what they call the township. So, nights where we'd be on call, where there'd be like a bus would pull up full of children with tear gas, bringing the kids in, and dealing with that. So that all of that was sort of part of that work. It from what I was told, being a fairly quiet place, Port Elizabeth, in terms of that, became quite a hotbed. That there was a lot of quasi-political activity.
What a wonderful clip that was. Hey, if you want more highlight clips of the Doctors Getting Coffee podcast, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below, and make sure you hit the bell icon next to it to get notifications whenever there's a new highlight clip. I'm releasing sometimes 4 or even 5 clips per week, then make sure you hit that button. Now, if you want to watch the entire video podcast, consider becoming a Patreon or a YouTube member to support the channel, and you will get, as one of your special privileges, access to the entire video podcast library. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.